This is the assignment for Module 4 of the course Design of Instructional Material being taught by Dr. Susan Sutton, submitted by Robert King on December 6th, 2020. The course I'm proposing is a theater workshop for the Dakota County 4-H organization. A little background information would probably help put this in perspective for you. My daughters both joined 4-H at an early age, joining as clover buds at 5 years old. We decided to become a 4-H family because, unlike scouting at the time, 4-H does not discriminate based upon gender, and we thought it was a great way for boys and girls to learn to interact and often compete as equals. Now, I've been the sound and video manager for the Dakota County 4-H Extension Office for better than 10 years, and I've watched a lot of kids come through the various performing arts programs. My undergraduate degree is in theater. I was the executive producer and director at a dinner theater, a stage manager at a few production houses. I've done stand-up comedy, so I feel competent to put together a good theater workshop for kids and get them prepared for some of the more advanced 4-H opportunities as they get older and more experienced in the program. My vision is two one-day seminars that are topic specific. They will complement a weekend encampment already performed by the Performing Arts Department each summer in preparation for their Arts In competition. Our first day will cover movement and voice. Movement will include some basic dance steps and a little bit about stage fighting and sword fighting. I've found that by starting 4-H programs with physical aspects, in other words, getting the kids moving, I get them over some of the initial inhibitions, and it helps to get them involved in the program early. The afternoon will concentrate on voice, enunciation, projection, inflection, and emotion. The second day will cover stage direction and blocking, understanding the terms used, the 9 directions on stage, and what it means to hit your spot and why it's important. We'll have a couple of exercises where the kids are given a chance to give and take direction and see what the difference between good and bad results looks like. The afternoon will concentrate on stagecraft, starting with the basics of safety first and moving on to building stage dressings and props with what you have on hand. The last thing to be aware of is that 4-H has the motto of learn by doing. We don't find fault in mistakes. We find growth in trying. Our assessments, both formative and summative, are performed in a non-pressure environment. The real test of any of our workshops is the acceptance of the parents. Do they send their kids on to the next one? And the growth in the participants. Do they walk away more confident in the skills that were presented? When I was doing my needs analysis, I did a lot of research and some things came to mind. According to Marinho et al. In their 2017 article, Fear of Public Speaking, Perception of College Students and Correlates, over 60% of the students in their study admitted that public speaking was their number one fear, and that over 89% wished that their undergraduate program included classes to help them overcome that fear and improve their public speaking skills. Vivia et al. State in their 2009 article, The Only Thing to Fear is Public Speaking, that one of the ways to overcome the fear of public speaking and to encourage those who might find public speaking intimidating is to provide some degree of anonymity or to start with a familiar social group. And lastly, in his 2001 article, The Importance of Communication in Public Speaking, Parvis says that public speaking is a skill that is universal to almost any career path a student might embark upon, and that it should be taught in all disciplines. They go on to stress that communication is 25% verbal and 75% nonverbal, by which they mean things like facial expressions, body language, voice intonations, the cadence of words and phrases, etc. The bottom line is that our kids need to begin the process of learning to be comfortable being in front of an audience, speaking and moving naturally. Those skills will serve them well throughout their tenure within 4-H, but beyond as well. Our target audience for this workshop is 4-H members who are entering the 6th through 8th grade. That puts them in what is traditionally known as middle school, or between 11 and 14 years of age. All kids can pretend, but at this age, they won't have any appreciable formal theater training. To be honest, that's why I chose this age group. Having worked with the older kids on other performing arts projects, I noticed that they come to those more advanced projects unprepared. We spend a lot of time teaching basic skills that I intend to cover in this workshop. I used the learner analysis worksheet provided by Dr. Sutton to fill out my understanding of the group that I'll be working with, which made me think about aspects of the learners that I hadn't really given any thought to in the past. But in reality, my audience is fairly straightforward. It's a group of 4-H members between 11 and 14 years old. They're a member of various 4-H clubs from around Dakota County and Minnesota. Our community is not very diverse, but 4-H is not in any way exclusionary. English is our primary language, although we can usually find a parent volunteer to help us support any kid for whom English is a secondary language. Religion is not an issue. Gender's not an issue, although I will admit that performing arts programs usually attract more girls than boys. Really, the biggest issue will be farm versus non-farm kids. Let me explain that last comment. 4-H was founded as an agricultural organization. Its original intent was twofold. First, to give rural kids an opportunity to show off the hard work on the farm through competition and animal auctions. And second, to give those kids an opportunity to experience life away from the farm. As 4-H grew in popularity, its programs started to incorporate more and more non-farm programs and appeal to a more urban or at least suburban population. This has caused some friction within the programs that every adult leader has to be aware of and be prepared to deal with. That's why programs like theater workshops are so important. They force the kids to work together towards a common goal. According to Berger and Karabenek in their 2016 article, Construct Validity of Self-Reported Metacognitive Learning Strategies are the thoughts and behaviors that facilitate the learning process. Our learning strategies for the workshops are specifically designed to make middle schools kids feel safe, comfortable, and open to trying new things without fear of ridicule. Middle schoolers tend to work better in groups, provided that they're given a clear task. In 4-H, we emphasize learning by doing. So we will show or explain, and then have exercises where the learners try or do. All 4-H projects end with a reflection. What could you have done better? What could you change? What would you do next time? This promotes learning and growth. The goal is to move kids into the upper realms of Bloom's taxonomy over time, often several years of working within a particular project area. Our first learning objective will be to teach kids how to choreograph either a dance or a stage sword fight. We try to provide an activity that can appeal to anyone in the audience. The kids always enjoy the dance section, and I found that I can usually let one of them lead the exercise, which is a major goal in most 4-H activities. We like to let the kids lead. For the stage fighting, a little known fact about me, I'm a 3rd degree black belt and have been teaching various weapons disciplines for quite some time. So I'll do this one, and we'll talk about safety and proper decorum, and then we'll work through a few stage movements. The goal for both scenarios is to teach the discipline of movement, starting at a defined point, given a specific amount of time and a number of movements, and at another defined point. During all of that, keeping an eye on the audience. Can they see the actors? Is the action aesthetically pleasing? Was the timing correct? Our first formative assessment of the day will be the students designing a 10-minute dance or a sword fight and then performing it in front of the rest of the class. The second learning objective is to demonstrate an understanding of the first 3 rules of improvisation. I've decided to use improv as my mechanism for building confidence because it's the team sport of acting. If you'd like to know the rules, I've included a link there on the slide. The video that it links to lists the 10 rules, but we're going to concentrate on the first 3 as they're very tangible. This is our first use of technology, and it'll be watching this video as a group. Our second formative assessment of the day will be the students pulling a scenario out of a hat and performing a 1-minute improv demonstrating those first 3 rules of improvisation. Our last learning objective revolves around critiquing a series of improvisations against the 10 rules in that video. To build to this, we'll have done a series of exercises on voice control, enunciation, projection, emotion, cadence. We'll have also done a series of improv exercises designed to remove their inhibitions so that they're more comfortable working together as a team. Our last assessment will be a summative assessment of all of those acting and voice material of the afternoon. Each team will perform a 3-minute improv starting with a randomly selected scenario. We'll video each performance, which is our second use of technology, and then as a group, we'll evaluate each performance over our dinner. 4-H seminars end with a dinner that the parents come in and prepare for the participants. It's kind of a tradition. Using the 10 rules from the video as our guide for our critique. As an added benefit, each group can take their improv tape with them and submit it to the county fair as a performing arts entry. It'll be eligible for county level ribbons, and if deemed worthy, could earn the team a trip to the Minnesota State Fair to compete at that level. They could also decide to take their act to the county fair as a live performance, should social distancing be a thing of the past, and compete in the live performing arts categories. So that's a summation of my course as it stands at this time. I look forward to your feedback and any suggestions you might have, as this is something I actually intend to submit to the 4-H committee as a summer project if we are indeed past this pandemic by then. So thank you.